Hello, my name is Belinda Finch and I'm the CIO of 3 UK. Today, I want to talk to you about a passion of mine, well, one of my passions anyway, and that is business-led transformation and why it's so vitally important that any change of any size and scale needs to be led from the business side. For the avoidance of any doubt, when I say business, I mean those areas of your organisation that touch the customer or clients that you work with. So basically, every single person in the organisation with no exceptions, everybody. Imagine a time before COVID. Remember those days where we could all go to the cinema for a meal, for a drink in the local pub? Well, we might be able to soon. And also run along our streets without having to run into a road to avoid walkers and such like. Well, in these times, which does seem an age away, we also used to think that digital transformation was a technology transformation. Something that enabled a fabulous customer experience and allowed a business to think digital first. But nevertheless, it was technology-led transformation. Removing old legacy stacks, putting in shiny new digital platforms that are cloud native, easy to maintain and upgrade, etc., etc. Sometime over the last few years, and this has accelerated over the last year, this has turned itself on its head. And now digital transformation is now a business transformation, much, much more than it's an IT transformation. Yes, it's always impacted the business and commercial side of the business, but it wasn't really led by them. So why am I here today and what do I want you to take away? So I'm going to give you my perspective on why I think it's important, the 2 steps you have to do to make sure it's a success, and finally, my top 4 hints and tips to making this work. I know I'll try and give you a few examples of why things can fail along the way. So business-led transformation, why is it important and why on earth has this accelerated over the last year? It's simple, and this has been talked about many, many times over the last year. In order to make money, business has had to concentrate on the digital side of their businesses, ensuring no human touch customer experience, but still providing all the bells and whistles a human would provide. Well, why is that important? Well, it is the push for digitize or die. This has enabled the IT change necessary to accelerate this transformation, and it's made it much easier. The business case stands up better with business input. You no longer do you have to compete with the bricks and mortar investment requests, and it's digital all the way. In fact, the business and commercial teams are crying out for more and more and more simple, speedy, slick, and agile technology so that they can change their online displays as easily as they can change their retail ones. Adding in the ability to translate human empathy and human touch is also an added bonus. And don't forget, businesses are all here to make money. Technology has moved from being an enabler of the business process to becoming a key factor in long-term business strategy. Technology choices and investment now define how fast a business moves, how agile it becomes, and how effective it is in gaining and maintaining competitive advantage, and a very important one in today's climate. So I'm going to give you my point of view to what you need to do to make transformation program work in 2 simple steps. Number 1, make it business-led. In my experience, to make any type of change or transformation work, as a company, you need to be totally joined up. You need to be agile and you need to be led from the top. And leading the push for digital transformation right now, more than ever before, is the business, jointly with IT, of course. This move to business-led transformation has now been happening for a while with Agile. We are now seeing many multidisciplinary teams all working together under one leader responsible for both the technology and the business outcome. As we move more and more towards this as a standard way of working, we've got no choice but to embrace a business-led transformation. IT and the business can no longer be separate. As I said to my team in a town hall recently, we are IT. We are the business. We're not a separate entity. We, IT, are the business. Agile has become a popular way to boost a change program because of a number of things. Definitely a method that has a proven record of boosting the success rate of projects. It also creates a unique work culture where technology and the businesses are both equal, and that helps increase team morale. And as compared to other methods, Agile process is just quick, and it's quick enough to adjust to changes requested by the client throughout the development cycle. And this is where working jointly in an agile team means you are business-led by definition. Okay, so that's my very simple first step. You're now joined up with the business. The business is now leading the change with IT as the enabler. Making that first step is the easy bit. But how do you actually make it work in practice? And how do you ensure that the end product is business-led and very, very importantly, business accepted? So this brings me to my step number 2. You've got to change your culture and lead it from the top. The most important step in a culture change is to align business user requirements to the IT's decision-making process. Very simple to say, or maybe not so much. This is massively resource intensive because ideally you're looking to create cross-functional, multidisciplinary teams that drives this change where the leader is responsible for both the technology and the business outcome, and not one or the other as in the traditional change programs. However, this is really hard to do. And many times what ends up happening is one of the two groups becomes to spearhead that initiative and their voice becomes the loudest in the final decision. So we can end up with either a user-friendly IT solution, but IT can't implement it, or the solution is easy and cheap to implement, however, it's not user-friendly at all. Or you end up not making a decision at all and it drifts on and on, the latter being the most popular in my experience. Digital transformation requires the organisation to deal better with change overall, and this is where the culture change comes in. You need to drive a company-wide cultural understanding of why and how this change to digital will ease and enhance the day-to-day of IT and business professionals. This must be led from the top, and every single person in the organisation needs to understand what part they have to play. Remember, digital transformation marks a radical rethinking of how our organisation uses technology, people, and processes. So you see, it's not just about technology. To fundamentally change the business performance, i.e. make more money, changing the organisation culture is absolutely key to the success of any change programme. What do I mean by changing culture? Well, this means changing the way people think. For example, if a business processes needs to change to suit an IT requirement, or a new solution needs to be found to suit a business requirement, each area of the business needs to understand the need and accommodate it. It's all about compromise, but the right compromise, and the right compromise for the benefit of customers and clients, not just for a particular internal department. Also remember, the part of the second lesson is about leading from the top. This culture change needs to be led by the CEO in partnership with CIOs, CHROs, and other senior leaders. Business-led digital transformation requires cross-departmental collaboration. So, the 2 steps in transformation. Number 1, make it business-led. And number 2, change the culture by leading from the top. The ultimate definer for success is your business-led digital transformation strategy. Is how the culture in an organisation is changed to put both business and IT needs equally. Okay, so now you have a business and jointly led change programme. It's being pushed from the top CEO level, and a cultural transformation is taking place. So what are my 4 hints and tips to making this programme a success? Firstly, align objectives with business goals. Pretty obvious, really. Always got to answer the question, what business outcomes do you want to achieve for customers? It is vital that leaders know the problems the business is trying to solve and align their goals with the outcome the business strives to achieve. Secondly, be bold when setting your scope. Successful digital transformations are around twice as likely than others to be enterprise-wide in scale. Thirdly, embrace adaptive design. The days of upfront investment requirements and rigid KPIs are completely over. Adaptive design enables CIOs to pursue monthly or even weekly tweaks to the transformation strategy, including reallocating talent, swapping requirements around, basically changing and starting from scratch. And finally, where possible, adopt agile execution. Encourage risk-taking, enabling low-level employees to make decisions, fail fast and learn. This has been the key main tenet of IT success, and one that I've seen a number of times to be very, very successful. As long as it's managed well and the drive for agile is again part of the cultural change I've talked about before, and it's led from the top. So, align objectives with the business goals, pretty obvious. Be bold when setting the scope. Embrace adaptive design and adopt agile execution. Saying all of this, why can a business-led transformation fail? Well, it's quite easy, really. Digital transformations fail for several reasons. Poor leadership. So you do not focus on the cultural change required and it's not being led from the top. A disconnect between IT and the business. Lagging employee engagement, where employees just don't understand what's happening and are not kept in the loop of progress and don't know what part they play in transformation. And of course, substandard operations. There's a few more. Key culprits of a derailed digital transformation are our obsession with the big bang change, trying to do everything at once. Smaller, focused transformation programs that deliver in increments work much better. So a big, wider scope, but deliver it in small increments. Don't focus on cost cutting as a business driver. You will never succeed if your focus of a transformation is only cost cutting. This does not drive the right cultural change. Even if costs are reduced by the change program, focusing on this as the main business driver just doesn't work. And most importantly of all, the failure to loop in the business for all the reasons I discussed earlier. In my experience, I've seen all of these things happen and more, which have led to derailed, incomplete, and even failed transformation programs. So that's poor leadership, the disconnect between IT and the business, lagging employee engagement, a substandard operation post-transformation, an obsession with a big bang change approach. Focus on cost cutting as the business driver. Please don't do that. But last but not least, the failure to engage the business. The siloed approach will always fail. To conclude, I'd like you to take away my 2 top lessons for a transformation program, and these are: be business-led, and also change your culture and lead from the top. And of course, my top tips: align objectives with the business goals, the obvious one. Be bold when setting the scope. Embrace adaptive design and adopt agile execution. Thank you for taking time to listen.